What do ancient tablets, oral traditions, and the blockchain have in common? Watch this video to find out more. Welcome to Curioustan, a channel where we talk about technology, culture, history, and everything else that sparks our curiosity. Today we'll explore the curious connections between ancient tablets, oral traditions, and the blockchain. We begin our journey in the city of Uruk in ancient Mesopotamia, found in today's Iraq. You are looking at just one of the many clay tablets that have puzzled experts for many years. This 5,000-year-old clay tablet didn't contain poetry or epic literature. It's not even about kings or gods. It turns out, it's something more mundane than that. Thanks to archaeologist Denis Besserat, we found out that these tablets were mankind's earliest attempts to record trade and transactions. Basically, these are the oldest receipts in history. You see, in ancient Mesopotamia, people used stone tokens to symbolize a wide range of products. If you own one sheep, then one circular token could represent that. If you have 10 sacks of grain, then you'll have the bragging rights for 10 pointed tokens. At that time, the people of Uruk haven't discovered writing yet, nor have they invented cash, so how did they track all the transactions that were happening in the community? How did they know who owes who and who owns which? The public accountants of Uruk did something rather simple but useful. They took the tokens and pressed each piece onto their clay tablets to make an impression. Each impression was a one-to-one representation of products existing in real life. Each tablet captures the entire trade that just occurred. And back to our mysterious tablet. No, it's not about art, religion, or law. It's a record of the beer flowing in town. Yes, beer. Because at that time when money wasn't invented yet, Uruk used beer to pay its workers, and this tablet was the receipt. Uruk's economy was powered by these clay tablets long before humanity invented writing and mathematics. If you're familiar with blockchain, you're probably seeing the connection now. But before that, let's make another detour to the island of Yap in Micronesia. The island of Yap is located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Because it is isolated, the Yapese don't have easy access to things like gold, silver, or other precious metals, which early societies used as money. They didn't rely on beer either. Instead, they have giant stone money. The Yapese made stone discs out of limestone rocks and called them rai. It is difficult to mine and transport these rocks, so rai's value is high and the supply is limited in the island. In fact, people reserve their rai for settling big and life-changing matters, wedding gifts, paying for family debt, or giving aid in times of crisis. 500 years since rais were first used, the system is still widely practiced in the island today. However, there is an obvious problem. Transporting rai requires a huge amount of effort. The largest rai weighs up to 4,000 kilograms. The solution? Don't transport them at all. So instead, the Yapese invented a trustworthy system of record keeping. But instead of using handheld records like the clay tablets of Uruk, they resorted to something more abstract. The people of Yap keep everything in their collective memory. They rely on an oral tradition to keep track of all the rai transactions. That oral tradition is a collection of stories passed on from one generation to another. Everyone keeps track of the story as it evolves. So when a new rai transaction happens, a new story is added to that oral tradition and everyone updates their own version of the story. There is no need to rely on the village chief to know who owns who. You will get the same updated version of the story from each person in the island. You can own rai from the other side of the village and people won't steal it from you. This mental database is accessible everywhere, and this is what decentralization is. The clay tablets of Uruk and the oral traditions of Yap shows us the basic principles of blockchain technology. See, instead of storing records in a clay tablet, you have them stored in a digital file instead. That file is called the blockchain. Similar to a ledger, the blockchain contains information on every single transaction ever made. It shows how much money is passed on from one account to another, which accounts are involved, and when these transactions occurred. When the database reaches its limit, the block of data is sealed and it is impossible to delete or modify. Just as the clay tablets in Uruk survived for thousands of years, the information should, in theory, be there forever. When a block is sealed, a new block is then created and connected to the previous block, and this is the reason why it is called the blockchain. It is simply a chain of blocks where succeeding information can only be added but not deleted or modified. And like the people of Yap, there's no village chief or central authority in charge of the blockchain. You can access the data from any point or location, and the information is always the same. Blockchain data is copied over and over again in a network of computers around the world. There are no banks or central authorities that can tamper or manipulate information. Once in the blockchain, always in the blockchain. Blockchain technology is changing the way we think about money, but it's amazing how this new technology is guided by the same principles in Uruk and Yap. Since the dawn of civilization, humans have relied on trust to make our societies work. We will always find ways to record and validate trust, whether it's through clay tablets, oral traditions, or the blockchain. We've gone a long way from the clay tablets that helped create great civilizations. What kind of society will blockchain help us create? That's something that we should be curious about. This month, we're digging deep in all things crypto. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our curious connections.